everyone, and welcome back to my DevLog series. It's the end of another 2 weeks, so let's take a look at the progress. This sprint has had a lot of time put into it. However, not as much to show since almost everything I did was something that required learning a new skill or system. I'm still happy with my progress, and I got more done than I thought I would. Halfway through, I didn't even think I'd get a third of the tasks done. The very first thing I did this sprint was get a good system in place for organizing sprints. I ended up trying a good chunk of Trello's features to help with this and settled on the following. I'm organizing the current sprints into 3 lists. This sprint, doing, and this sprint complete. At the end of a sprint, everything in the complete section goes to its own dated list and then gets archived. I also have a sort of backlog list that has items that will get moved into sprints. Not everything goes in there though, since I have the order of things pretty well planned out in the books. But anything I think of that isn't explicitly called out somewhere else ends up here. I've set up labels too to help me prioritize during a sprint. These keep track of complete tasks, the priority for the task from low to high, and a time estimate, which I'm also tracking so I can see how close I was to my estimate. Overall, I think this is the strategy I'll probably keep going forward on this. One of the first things I got done on the actual game this sprint ended up being an art prototype. I really wanted to nail down the look of the dungeon early so that I knew what kind of scope I could have art-wise. It took a few iterations to figure out with this style how much detail was too noisy and how much was too bland. I'm still not 100% happy with the lighting, so I do think I'll do another pass on that eventually, but it was enough to tell me that I liked the no texture look for this game, which is the question I was trying to answer with this. I still have one more art prototype like this that I need to do before committing fully to this art style, but I think it's pretty safe to assume this is what I'm targeting. The reason I wanted this look for the game was so that I could spend less time texturing the environment and maybe even save on texture memory. So I'm hoping the next test confirms my current thoughts. After that, I did have a bit of a distraction putting up a small greenhouse the first week. My yard isn't in the best of condition, and I've been waiting for spring to be able to change that. Plus, this whole nature thing is usually pretty inspiring to me, so why not? Hopefully by the end of this series I can make something happen back here too. Next up, I started learning Blender character creation. I ended up following a course by Darren Lyle on Udemy, and I have to say I was really happy with the course. I'll link that in the description so you can check it out if you want, but with his helpful instructions I was able to get a decent understanding of how to make a character in Blender and how to use Blender in general. After making the course character that you see on screen now, I was able to go back and take a first stab at a player character from my game. This Abomination is inspired by the characters by Quaternius, which are a lot better, and I used them as sort of a blueprint for this. He's still modeled, rigged, and animated from scratch, but I really liked the way his characters fit with the art style that I have chosen. I didn't want to just use his though. This little guy will definitely be getting a remake, but I wanted to have something to look at other than a capsule. I also wanted my first attempt to be one I knew I'd come back and throw away. All this took a large chunk of time though, since even in all the time I've used 3ds Max, I haven't hardly done any character modeling, so there is a lot to learn. The characters that come after this will be a little bit more complex, with foot rigging, IK, etc., and I'll be excited to do those when the time comes. After that, I started on the last major thing I wanted to get done this sprint, the camera auto-zooming. At the very least, I wanted to get the research in so that I knew what was needed to do it. I also knew that I wanted to give Cinemachine a crack at it first, so I started there. About an hour and a half later, I had a system that added and removed players dynamically to be tracked and kept in frame. This worked really well with multiplayer, and I'm really happy with it. I think when players get too far away from each other, I want the camera to split into a split screen config, but I think doing that and doing it properly is going to be a very iterative process, so I'll be saving that for later. I'm also considering just not letting the players go out of a certain bounds of each other, but I don't know what the right move is. Multiplayer is what I consider to be the main attraction of this game, so I want to make sure I get it right. So, with a new sprint on my doorstep, it was time to start writing the script, DevLog, and starting the planning for Sprint 3. I'm still not 100% sure on the format of these devlogs, but I'm hoping some feedback from anyone watching helps nudge me in the right direction. For the record, I record these about 2 weeks before you see them for now, and I did this to give myself a pretty big margin for error, but if I manage to make these on time for 4 sprints in a row, I'll probably shorten the window by at least a week. It also doesn't help any that I probably won't have anything worthwhile for people to look at until sprint 4 or 5. Either way, I'm having a lot of fun working on this, so we'll just keep chugging along. Next sprint, we'll be implementing the player character I did into the game itself, and I'll probably be refactoring the input and inventory systems since both of those are horrible right now. If I still have some time after that, I want to get that second art prototype I mentioned knocked out, but that might be pushing it. Either way, I want to thank you again for watching. If you're interested to see more, consider subscribing and giving a like to help people find me. Take it easy out there.